Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. Want to improve your organization's customer service? Looking for insider tips to knock your customer socks off? Then you're in the right place. Here's your host, Yannick Grant.
Welcome to Navigating the Customer Experience. On today's episode, our guest is Peter Mullen. Peter brings more than 2 decades of marketing leadership to his role as Interactions CMO. Previously, he was Senior Vice President of Marketing at Payactiv, where he led customer success, marketing, lead gen programming, customer acquisition, product marketing, and more. Prior, he held prominent marketing and communication roles at VXI Global Solutions, Comcast, and Netflix. So without further delay, sit back, plug your earphones in, and let's jump right into this conversation with Peter. Welcome, Peter.
Hey, it's great to be here.
All right, Peter, we always like to give our guests an opportunity to share in their own words a little bit about their journey, how it is that you got to where you are today.
Thank you. So I live in Silicon Valley. I've been doing marketing for more than 20 years, which means I had the opportunity to arrive in Silicon Valley just as the internet was becoming massively adopted across the world and began to change everything. My background is as a journalist and more on the liberal arts side of things. So for me, my journey was one of spending several years moving into the tech world and really focusing on narratives. How do we tell the stories about the great things that we're building? How do we make it understandable, digestible, and ultimately what type of impact can we bring to people, in many cases, who are seeing things for the first time? And Netflix was a defining moment where we reinvented how the world gains its entertainment with all the beautiful personalization and customization. Throughout the career then, my journey has been sitting in that intersection of new ideas, new technology, making it explainable to people. And how the CX element has come in the last decade is really simple. What I discovered was that we could build the greatest things in the world, we could communicate in the best way, but if it was not embraced by CX, if CX was not leading how we presented that to the rest of the world, we would stall. So for the past decade, my focus has been in the CX world, working in all elements, from BPOs, from contact centers, and right now with a wonderful technology company that helps provide better digital experiences for customers around the world.
All right. So you are currently the CMO of Conversational AI at Interactions, correct?
Correct. It's a really simple explanation of who we are and what we do. We are the digital front door for the brands around the world that care the most about that first front door experience. We lead with voice, and what that means is that when millions of people call into any of these brands, we start our conversations with, "How may I help you today?" We have AI plus human in the loop. It's unique. We're the only ones who do that. And it enables the customers to speak in their natural language, ask natural questions, and all of our technology processes that really efficiently. The outcome and what that means for millions of call center agents and businesses alike is that we have customers that are more satisfied. They're having better experiences without the friction. And when they ultimately have to talk to an agent in a human experience, when that's necessary, they are further along the customer journey and it's a quicker resolution. So that adds to operational efficiencies in a significant way.
Mm-hmm. So seeing that you work at an organization that you're dealing with troubleshooting of customers' challenges on a daily basis, could you share with us maybe 1 or 2 success stories that you've had with clients and, what the impact has been for their business as a result of your approach and methodology?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'll give you 2 answers of examples. So we work with one of the top 5 financial institutions in America, and a customer of that financial institution will call in with a lost credit card. We're able to process that fluidly and effectively without having to have a human agent engage on that. And in this sequence, this customer journey, we can actually, with our digital technology and our AI, cover over 40 different requests that the customer may have just on that simple one call in. We can do it all in one call, leading to an overall better customer experience. Another example, we work with one of the largest consumer technology companies in the world. They have outlets around the world. You can schedule an appointment at any one of them around the world, call up, talk to our automated assistant, reschedule it for any time, any date with different products that you want to come in and discuss, and any different location in the world. Again, without ever having to talk to a human being, that can be handled in mere minutes. There's no, with our solution, there's no hold time, no waiting in any way. And the processing is just effective and fluid for everybody.
Wow, no wait time. Goodness me. Sounds like we need your company here in Kingston, Jamaica.
Well, we did a customer survey in the spring of US-based consumers, what their biggest concerns and complaints were. This is no surprise. There are 77% of us who complain that wait times are the number one problem in customer service. If we could eliminate that one thing, or let's say even reduce it by half, the entire CX experience is transformational for the rest of the journey.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Could you also share with us that, as an organization, I know you mentioned that you're heavily into AI, but you're one of the few companies that also has a human touch that's integrated with the AI in your methodology and approach. How do you maintain the human touch even though you're using AI, and how impactful has that been for your clients?
Yeah, first, I will just acknowledge this remarkable moment in time in the second half of 2023. We are all trying to figure out what to do with generative AI. The world truly changed in November of 2022,
Mm-hmm.
last year, when OpenAI debuted and everyone could see how powerful it was. And it's only scratching the surface. So I've had more than 100 customer conversations this year. I've been to more than a dozen events, walking the floors, talking to everybody. And AI is the number one word being spoken in all of those corridors. Number two word, however, is human. And this is really important because as all of these businesses around the world and all these people around the world are trying to figure out what the new world order is going to be, the aspect of having the human touch, the human empathy, the human brain is absolutely essential. I mean, we all have to acknowledge that the greatest computer for the foreseeable future is going to be the human brain. It is today, it will be over the next coming years. Let's see where it is in the next decade, but for now, let's use that as our baseline. Now, my company is a company that was one of the OGs, the original gangsters of conversational AI with an emphasis on the artificial part of it, the AI. We started 18 years ago. When we started 18 years ago, AI was not that good. So from day one, we had put a human in the loop. What that means very functionally is if the technology cannot understand what the customer or the client is looking for, we've always had a human in the background ready to nudge the conversation forward. That agent, he or she, is not engaged in the whole conversation, but rather will catch a snippet of the voice conversation or the text or the chat and be able to say, aha, this is what Unique is trying to do. This is where she wants to go next in her journey flow. And the agent will, as I said, nudge it forward. That's unique for what we do. So we focus AI first. And about 90+% of the time, AI is all that's needed. But for that last 10%, it's essential that the human helps move it onward. And other companies today don't do it that way. Other companies are typically starting with the human first and then augmenting AI on the back end for automation. Does that make sense?
Right. So basically you're saying because the human comes in at the tail end of the experience, you're able to have the resolution done quicker because now it's moved up, it's escalated, especially if it's something that can't be fixed at first point of contact.
That's exactly right. If you think about the IVRs and the prompts that typically exist in many frontline solutions, the moment that we run into trouble, we get into a loop or we can't move forward in a way we want, we start pressing zero, we start yelling for the agent. 33% of us swore at a robot last year. So that lets I just how peaked. I think that percentage is low, but it shows how peaked people are with their customer experience. And for what typically happens, as you know, is the first one or two engagements are okay. Then it starts getting more complex, more layered, more nuanced. That's where a human can play this essential role of coming in and understanding what you want to do and then pushing it forward.
Agreed. Agreed. All right, that's brilliant. Now, you mentioned that we're like halfway through 2023, and it's so true. a lot of us are looking to, what's the next, what's the next innovative, creative, exciting thing that my organization can do that will set me apart from my competition. So if you were to give advice to our listeners that are tapping into this episode, that are in the customer experience space, what would be 2 to 3 things that you would recommend that they need to focus on for the latter part of 23, preparing for 2024, in order to ensure that they stay relevant and they're able to hopefully, do a better job than their competition?
Yeah. So first, I want to use the word I used earlier, which is baseline. I think it's really important to have a baseline understanding of what AI is doing and what it's going to be doing over the next several years. My perspective and opinion is that it is much more significant than even any of us understand, that this is truly a game changer that is going to impact every aspect of the customer contact center world, customer experience itself. That's my baseline. Now, on top of that, here's another trend that is not just for the rest of this year, but essential to understand how fast it has changed the world. Personalization and customization is transformational. You and I have had all of our behaviors changed by that incredible computer that we hold in our hand. We expect instant resolution, we expect custom and tailored experiences. AI then offers the solution for that expectation. Over time, in the next several years, we are going to be able to automate, we are going to be able to speed up resolutions or experiences, and we're going to be able to customize and personalize those experiences. These are essential to understand as macro themes, and they're secular, which means they are long standing. It's not just going to be a blip on our radar. So if I am a young person in a contact center, moving my way up, ambitious, I lean forward. I am thinking about how rapidly this can potentially impact and change the ecosystem that I work in today. So, as an individual, I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to evolve and ride the wave in a way that will be beneficial for me, for my family, and for those around? There's tremendous opportunities, but it's absolutely essential to understand how big this is. If I am a business, so now I'm moving up the food chain a bit, I need to be thinking about how AI can bring operational efficiency, improvement in OpEx, operational expenses, and how it can truly automate and streamline my overall operations. And if I am that person, which many days I'm talking to those people, by the way, I am thinking to myself every day, how do I take the incredible human capital and the talent I have and build solutions around them so that talent can be unlocked? I mean, you and I both know how much processing takes place, how much rote automation occurs right now with human beings. Think about what it's going to mean as we can start to unlock all of that talent because AI can put in the automation, freeing us up to do a lot more important and essential things, which ultimately reinforces that whole personalization opportunity back to the clients.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Peter. All right, now, Peter, could you also share with our listeners what's the one online resource, tool, website, or app that you absolutely can't live without in your business?
This would probably not surprise many people. I believe that Slack is absolutely game changer for businesses today. So the challenge that we have is that in the past 3 years, our worlds have turned upside down and we've gone hybrid, we've gone remote, we've gone back to the office, typically kicking and screaming in that case. We it is a true challenge for business leaders to understand how do you effectively communicate with your teams in this new disrupted world. I'll give you one example. If you are a business that has veterans who have worked there for multiple years, they have a ton of tribal knowledge. They also have positive relationships that they've formed over years with each other. Then you have now new people coming in who don't have any of those connections. They don't know where things even are. A tool like Slack has one beautiful element that I don't think is talked about enough. It enables you to process both business in real time, but it also enables you to process personality and more of the informality that used to take place in offices all the time. Even a smiley face or a thumbs up is a different type of communication than you would have on email, you have on the phone. this type of connecting of the fabric is absolutely essential to be doing right now for business success.
All right, perfect. Thank you for sharing. Could you also share with our listeners maybe one or two books that have had the biggest impact on you? It could be a book that you read recently or even one that you read a very long time ago but still has had a great impact on you.
Yeah, there's a book that is called Hooked by Nir Elal, which last name is Eyal. He's a Stanford professor, and this came out about a decade ago. Hooked is a very friendly, easy to read B2C book describing how to capture the curiosity of people online, typically using apps. It's simply how you build their confidence, which leads to trust. Trust leads to engagement. Engagement leads to loyalty and sales. And the reason that I'm calling that out is because it is so darn simple. I keep it on my bookshelf and reread it at least once a year, simply to reinforce how important it is to build confidence and trust with a buyer, no matter B2B, B2C, client, customer, anyone. Trust is the absolute currency of the next 20 years.
Nice. Love that. All right. Now, Peter, could you also share with our listeners what's the one thing that's going on in your life right now that you're really excited about? Either something you're working on to develop yourself or your people.
Oh God, what a great question. I love this. So I'm going to speak about people and team for a second. It's been a rough 18 months for many of us. It's been a rough 3 or 4 years for
Mm-hmm.
many of us. I'm really excited about how to think structurally about teams, think about this hybrid environment all of us are in, and think about how to motivate groups of people to lift their heads above all of the different conflicting confusions and excitements and pressures that are hitting us to deliver good results. So, very specifically, I'm using this year to think about how, on a one-to-one and a one-to-few and a one-to-many, I can help the teams and the people around me optimize their own success.
All right. And do you have some tools that you have in mind in getting that done, or are you kind of just still in the strategy phase?
I believe that there is a tremendous power, unique, in having slogans and using those slogans repeatedly to help build momentum, build a movement, almost like a sports team. So this year in 2023, from a team approach, which is one of the things that's very important to me, I have three of them. One is a 0 to 1 mentality. And what that means and what I share with the team is that, guys, there are massive things that we are trying to change, but if we take a quote unquote 1 0 to 1 mentality, what it means is that we constantly want to think about startup innovation. Take small steps forward, look at everything you're doing as going from nothing to something. And what that does is it enables you to have small, fast wins. It enables you to appreciate those wins. And when you have setbacks, and we all do, it puts those setbacks in a framework that says they're minor, and the next day we can move forward. That's 0 to 1. Second slogan is rungs on your ladder. And I learned this by working at one of the top 20 largest BPOs in the world. Um, it's incredible to me to think about nearshore, onshore, and offshore millions of folks who are moving up every day with their careers. And so we focus a lot on rungs on your ladder. What's the right thing for you, wherever you are in your career stage, to take the next step up? And we're very explicit with that. On my team, every person knows what the rung on the ladder is for their teammate. That type of transparency means that we are a team all working together. The third one, and the third slogan is lean forward. I have a very strong bias that people who are going to lean forward in their chair are going to be the ones who are going to move forward and be the most successful. But really importantly, because of those first two ideas, if I'm getting my team to lean forward, it's in a cooperative, supportive way, and that radiates around, and their teammates start leaning forward as well.
All right. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you for sharing. All right, Peter. So, our listeners would have tapped into this episode and they're really intrigued by what you are doing and also what your organization is doing and some of the different initiatives that you're taking. And of course, all of the different insights that you'd have shared with us from we started this conversation. If they wanted to connect with you, where can they find you online?
Easiest place is on LinkedIn as Peter Mullen. And of course, you can follow us on Interactions LinkedIn page where we post daily updates, and then linkedin.com, or excuse me, interactions.com.
Okay. All right, perfect. Now, before we wrap our episodes up, we always like to ask our guests, in times of adversity or challenge, do you have a quote that you would use or revert back to kind of help you to get you back on track? If for any reason you got derailed or you felt demotivated or, you just got off the course of what you were doing. Do you have one of those?
That is a surprise question that I will answer very authentically. I am a cancer survivor. I have had setbacks at multiple times in my life in various ways and spaces, and I think many of us have. I think that there's a lot of hidden challenges but also triumphs that all of us have experienced. And so for me, a simple phrase that I often use for myself is always tomorrow. And what that reflects and means for me is that no matter what setbacks we have, no matter what move forwards we have, there's always going to be the next day to do it again and do it a little better.
All right. Brilliant. Always tomorrow. I like it. All right. Thank you so much, Peter, for taking time out of your very busy schedule and hopping on this podcast with us, sharing all these great insights as it relates to, AI is wonderful, but the human touch is also very critical. I'm glad that you did reinforce that in your message and our conversation, that the human element isn't going anywhere and it's still going to be the baseline of everything that we're doing. I think that was really critical to what you brought across. And also some of the recommendations that you believe our listeners can focus on as we move towards closing off 2023 and tap into 2024. What are some of the areas that they need to really engage in, whether from a, as you mentioned, B2C approach or B2B, or even in just building your career? We really appreciate it and just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been great being here.
All right, just want to remind our listeners that you can follow us on Twitter at NavigatingCX, and feel free to join our private Facebook group. It's called Navigating the Customer Experience Community. Really appreciate you listening to us today and tapping into this awesome episode. Until next time, I'm your host, Yannick Grant.
Thanks for listening. For more awesome resources to take your customer service game to another level, head over to navigatingthecustomerexperience.com. See you next time.